and welcome to the second video of the series Understanding Pointers in C. So in this video we are going to understand what is a pointer. So before that, let us discuss a very simple variable declaration. So let's say we want to declare an integer variable x to store a value 5. So this is how we declare it. X is an integer variable and we are assigning value 5 to that variable. So this declaration tells three things to the compiler. First is reserve a memory required to store an integer value, right? So how much memory is required to store an integer value in terms of number of bytes? So 4 bytes are required, we saw in the last video. So 4 bytes of contiguous memory will be reserved. The second thing is name that memory as x. So these 4 bytes will be named as x. Third thing which is told to the compiler by this line is assign a value 5 to that location. So 5 will be stored in that memory location. So let's say the memory is reserved from location number 2000 to till 2003. Now these are memory addresses. Now in reality, memory addresses are hexadecimal, but just to make the thing simple, we are taking integer addresses. So this is the address of first byte, this is the memory address of second byte, third byte, so on, and this is fourth byte, right? So this is what happens with this line. Now let us understand the second point. There are two important operators when we discuss pointers. The first one is called as AND operator. It is also called as address of operator. Now what this operator does? This operator returns the memory address of the variable. Now for example, if I write here AND x, so this will return the memory address of x. Now x has 4 memory addresses because x is a name given to these 4 memory locations, 4 bytes, not 4 memory locations but 4 bytes. Now that means there are 4 memory addresses, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of these 4, the first byte's address is called as the base address, right? Now whenever I write AND x, I'll get the base address of x. So base address of x is 2000. So this is going to give us 2000, right? So this is the first important operator called as address of operator. It returns the memory address of the variable. For example, if you want to get the memory address of another variable, let's say a, you write it like this, and a, this will give us the memory address of a. Okay, so the next important operator is this asterisk operator or star operator. This operator is called as value at address. That means this operator star will return us or give us the value at the memory address. So if I write star in bracket some memory address, so this star operator will give me the value at this memory address. For example, if I write star in bracket memory address of, let's say x, memory address of x, so this will return me the value at memory address of value at this memory address. So what is the memory address here? This is the memory address of x. So what is the memory address of x? 2000. That means it will become star of 2000, right? So the star will return me the value at memory address 2000. What is the value at memory address 2000? It is 5. So it is going to give me 5. So these are the two important operators, and which is called as address of, it will return the address of the variable. The star is called as dereference operator. It will return us the value at that memory address, right? You write star followed by the memory address, right? So memory address we gave here is the memory address of x, and will give me the memory address of x. So that is 2000. So star 2000 will give me the value at this memory address. Okay, now let's go to our important point. What is a pointer? Right. Now as we have seen the memory addresses, this is the memory address of x. Whenever we talk about the memory address of some variable or some memory location, we always talk about the base bytes or first byte memory address, as x is a name given to 4 locations, 4 bytes. There are 4 memory addresses, but when we say a memory address of x, we talk about 2000. We are referring to this 2000. Okay. Now let us understand what is a pointer. So pointer is a variable. It's a variable like x, right? As x is a variable, right? X is name given to some memory location. Pointer is also a variable, but it does not store a normal data type, right? It does not store a normal value. Instead, what it stores the memory addresses. So pointer is a variable which stores memory address of another variable, right? So let's see in detail. What do you mean by that? So in order to declare a pointer, in the declaration, we need to put a star before the variable. So the star makes this P a pointer variable. The star gives P the capability to store memory address. So star means this P is a pointer. Now P is a pointer means P is capable of storing the memory address. But what memory address of another variable? But what type of another variables memory address P can store? See, of course, the another variable will be either of integer type, float type, character type, or maybe pointer type, or maybe any other data type. So, what type of variables memory address P can store? That's the question, right? And that type is mentioned here. Int, int star P. So it means P is a pointer. P is capable of storing memory address of another variable of integer type. That's very important. So P is a pointer means it's capable of storing memory address of another variable of integer type, right? That's how we can read this. In other words, I can say that P is an integer type pointer. When I say P is an integer type pointer, that means P is capable of storing an address of another variable which is of integer type, right? For example, now this P is an integer type pointer. That means P can store an address of integer type variable. So we have an integer type variable here x. So I can store x's address in P, right? So P can store address of any other variable which is of integer type, right? Okay, so now with this declaration, this is what happens in memory, right? So P, as it's a variable, it is going to store something, some data. So memory will be allocated to P. Memory will be reserved. That will be called as P. Now, how much memory is allocated? We discussed in the last video. A pointer requires 8 bytes of memory. So 8 bytes of memory will be reserved. Right, let's say starting from 5000 till 5008. Sorry, 5001 till 5008. So 8 bytes of contiguous memory will be allocated, will be reserved, and that will be named as P. That's what happens with this. Right. Now, as P we have already declared, let us store address of some integer variable in P. We have an integer variable here x, so we can store address of x in P. So that means I'm going to assign some value to P. So I'll say P assigned. What I'm going to assign to P? The memory address of x. How will I get memory address of x? And x, right? And x will give me memory address of x, which is 2000. When I say memory address of x, I get the base address. So I'll be storing base address of x here, right? So 2000. So that's what happens with this statement. Now, how can I, by using this P, how can I get value of x, right? Value of x. So by using our star or dereference operator, I can say star P, right? Star P, what it gives? Value at address which is stored in P. What is the address stored in P? So address stored in P is 2000, right? So 2000 value at address 2000. So this will give me value at address 2000, which is 5, right? So this is the small introduction to pointers. We'll see more details in the coming videos. So stay tuned. Thank you. See you in the next video.